Their story begins in 2001 when Vanessa gave birth to a son, Joey. He was the center of a loving, blended family with stepfather Joseph, an Air Force engineer, and later an adopted baby sister, Jade. Vanessa didn't see a connection between Joey's obsession with dress-up and his behavioral problems until a routine physical changed everything. They were wrapping up the visit when the doctor noticed the way 6-year-old Joey was playing with his toy.
Joey lifts his shirt and starts breastfeeding the doll. And the doctor said, "I think your child may have gender identity disorder." And I'm like, what? Yeah. And the doctor said, like transgender.
As you may have figured out by now, Joey is Josie, born a boy, but now living as a girl. The Romeros changed her name legally, Josie Claudine Romero.
Hi, my name is Josie. I'm a girl.
When I got my girl name, I felt like everything was done, but apparently not.
Not done, not by a long shot. Josie, who had passed easily as a girl for years, was now terrified of her growing body, afraid puberty would soon turn her into a man.
She scrutinizes her image in the mirror every morning when I'm doing her hair. So she looks for facial hair or an Adam's apple. It's a swan's neck. There is no bump there. Nothing else is as important to her as getting her body to match who she is. What are you thinking?
It's getting frustrating.
Do you want a hug?
Doctors in the U.S. do not perform sex reassignment surgery before age 18, but some have been experimenting with new hormone therapies for transgender kids, drugs that can start the gradual process of reshaping a child's body from one sex to another. It is a radical treatment for someone Josie's age.
I'm just really eager for her to feel at peace. And if she takes estrogen, she'll see her body respond to that, and she'll have that peace.
It is a two-step process. First, drugs called blockers that suspend puberty. In Josie's case, blocking the release of testosterone. Then a more controversial step. She could be given estrogen to make her body develop like an adolescent girl's.
That's something most people feel like you ought to wait until really a child is much older.
Dr. Margaret Moon is a pediatrician and bioethics professor at Johns Hopkins University. She says drugs that delay puberty, blockers, may be helpful in some extreme cases. But that second step, giving opposite-sex hormones, is alarming at Josie's age. The changes are irreversible and include rendering the child sterile as an adult.
Any change you make that's irreversible is harder to justify when the child is young.
Even among the doctors who specialize in treating transgender kids, there is debate about when and whether opposite-sex hormone therapy is okay.
We have lots of very well-informed, very well-intentioned people looking at the same data and coming away with very different ideas.
Is this an overdiagnosis issue?
Potentially. It's potentially an overdiagnosis issue.
But for Vanessa, there was no debate. Having been unsuccessful in finding a local doctor who could help, Vanessa set out with her daughter for Children's Hospital in Los Angeles in September of 2010.
Are you nervous?
So you're thinking about gender all the time?
All the time, night and day.
Dr. Johanna Olson, whom the Romeros traveled to see, is one of the few medical doctors in the U.S. who treat kids with gender identity problems.
How old were you when you transitioned?
About 6.
Okay.
Or she could also prescribe estrogen, the far more extreme option to begin Josie's female development.
It seems like puberty, the idea of impending puberty is a little scary to you.
I just want to get done.
Do you just want it to get done?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Like, I don't want to get surgery right now. You can.
Let's say you could wake up and have whatever you wanted on your body. No penis. You want a vagina, breasts, all that stuff. I made you giggle. Would that be a yes? Yeah. I hear you.
After their 1-hour conversation, there was a physical exam. And then, mother and daughter waited for Dr. Olson's decision. Josie was still waiting impatiently for the estrogen treatment, which is controversial at her age. Guidelines developed in Europe suggest waiting until around age 16. And bioethicist Dr. Moon says the few studies that do exist suggest young kids with gender identity problems often grow out of them.
A lot of those kids that start out as children who are saying, I'm in the wrong body, end up finding out by the time they're middle adolescents that they're actually fairly comfortable with their own gender.
All right, let's move on. The estrogen treatment for the kid.
Estrogen treatment is irreversible and would make Josie sterile. But Josie and her mother never doubted it was the right thing until an unexpected conversation happened one afternoon.
But on the inside, where nobody else can see,
Yeah.
are you a boy or are you a girl?
Maybe I'm a boy inside and a girl outside.
Really?
Yeah, is that true?
Only you know the answer to that. So if you wanted to grow up to be a man,
Yeah.
would you tell me?
Yeah.
Hey, if you wanted to grow up and be a man, you could.
I want to be... Sometimes I think I'm a boy, sort of, but I want to be a girl.
Yeah.
Will you love me if I'm a boy?
Of course. I would love you no matter what. I always have, and I always will.
It was the first time Vanessa ever heard Josie sound uncertain.
So it's the first time she ever heard the kid sound uncertain when the camera was there recording a 10-minute little soundbite thing.
Yeah, like an appointment, a short appointment.
You know?
Buzz cut mom.
I feel like maybe there's a part of you that's afraid to tell me what you really want. What if I said, oh, please don't be a girl?
So I guess I'll be a boy.
No, honey.
I need to listen to you and my mom.
Well, yeah, you need to listen to me about, what's healthy to eat, and you need to listen to me about what time to go to bed. But you are the one. I have to listen to you.
Yeah, well, if you said I need to be a boy, maybe
No.
I have to.
No. For her to have any indecision now, I don't know what it's rooted in, and I really need to find that out.
I feel like I'm about to cry.
I'm just kind of surprised by some of these answers today. It's the first time you've given them to me. Everything I thought I knew is kind of in question.
Had Vanessa's wholehearted, unwavering support of Josie's transition actually pushed her child too far, too fast?
The thought of her having made such a huge decision in her life, all based on what she thought I wanted, that would be traumatic for me.
Bioethicist Dr. Margaret Moon, who opposes opposite-sex hormone therapy for kids Josie's age, says most 9 and 10-year-olds are not mature enough to participate in life-altering medical decisions.
They're not sure of who they are, and they can't really offer their parent that sort of reassurance.
Even Dr. Olson says there is no exact science that can determine who is truly transgender.
What's missing in the data right now is these exact characteristics mean that this person is for sure going to be a trans adolescent and adult. We don't have that data.
Now, the estrogen thing I find concerning. A decision is being made whether or not Josie will have children, her own biological children in the future.
That's why the role of blockers is so important. They get an opportunity for 2 years, 3 years to really work with a mental health therapist on what it's going to mean to be transgender.
But that could still put you at age 12. To me, it seems ridiculous to have a kid at age 12, 13, 14 deciding whether they want to have biological children when they're 20, 30, or 40. You and your mom were talking, she was combing your hair. You said to her, would you still love me if I was a boy?
Oh yeah, that.
Why did you ask her that?
You know, my dad, when I started to change, he was a little sad because he wanted his little boy back. I didn't want the same thing to happen to my mom, like being sad all the time.
15 months after her first visit, Josie was back with Dr. Olson. After examining Josie in private, Dr. Olson had a decision.
You are in the perfect place to start on blockers.
And she promises to begin giving her estrogen, female hormones, in 2 years.
Around 13. That's what I think. Yes, you're not going to develop breast buds on the blockers, but you're not going to wait until 16 to start. You know that, okay?
Josie received the blockers as an implant in her arm.
It's okay if you cry.
So with all the bravery she could muster,
You're going to feel a little bit of a...
Josie held on tight as another chapter opened in this young girl's life.
Closing up the skin.
A lot of times it strikes me that had this happened just 20 years ago,
Thank you.
I wouldn't have been able to give her blockers, and she would have had to go through male puberty. That terrifies me. It's all done. Do you want a hug? I don't know that she would have survived male puberty. You know, how is she going to prove to somebody that she is a girl? At best, you know, she would have been shaving every day and been the man in a dress, and that might be great for some people, but it certainly wasn't who she is.
So much about this child's life is yet unwritten, but Josie has predictions of her own.
When I grow up, I'm going to help save animals, habitats, like the ice for the polar bears. As an adult, my hair will be very long, blonde, wavy, and super pretty. I'm going to marry a boy. I'll be a tiny bit taller than my mom. I want to be a mommy. I'm going to be very beautiful.